Steo, you're very welcome to the podcast. I've been looking forward to this chat for a long time. How are you keeping?
Yeah, I'm all good, man. I'm all good. It's good to see you, Rory.
Excellent. So you've been on an interesting journey. Well, you have over many years, but particularly the last few months. New album. As I speak to you, you're probably coming out the other side of the new album. The initial kind of flurry of activity and excitement.
Yeah, it's been an exciting few months. It's always mad though. It's mad because people from the outside looking in see it as a flurry of activity and business.
Oh yeah.
But when you're on the inside of that activity, you're like, when does the next thing happen? Like, you're waiting.
Yeah.
It's like a waiting game. But come here, look, good things have happened since the release of the second album. You know what I mean? I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the album. I never know how to judge whether it's a success or, do you know what I mean? It's like, well, I can't call it. But I'm happy with the album. I'm happy with the songs and how it's progressed from the first album to the second album. I think the songs and the melodies and the production and all of that stuff stepped up a little level. So, do you know?
So the album stepped up. That leads me to believe that you stepped up.
Yeah, well, I come here. I think that's like, if not even like as an artist, but as a, you know what I mean, just as a human. Like, I think we're always bleeding, ever changing and evolving, and curiously bleeding, seeking, and So I think that leads into the work, like, you know what I mean? So I feel like, come here, I'm really bad at giving myself these kinds of kudos and praise and all. I always find the bad stuff, but I think, with certain songs and certain melodies, I definitely think that it stepped up. You know what I mean? I think the level of writing in certain songs and certain melodies and production and stuff, yeah. Because I didn't know what I was doing on the first album, Rory.
Yeah.
I was green and like I had no clue what to do in a studio setting. So I was seeking the guidance of other people, particularly Martin Ali, you know what I mean? He was my like gauge of like, is this all right? And I had no time and or structure to any of the stuff that I was doing. So all the lads that came in and helped me, like, Jimmy Higgins and John O'Connell and all of these professional Premier League players, they guided me, but also I learned from them on the go as we were going. And so by the time the second, like, I knew what I wanted production wise, and I knew what the songs kind of needed, like,
Excellent. Did you find it difficult to kind of be amongst, as you said, Premier League players and receive that support and not go through kind of inferiority complex or anything like that?
I still go through that, man. I still think, even though I'm a couple of years in the game now, I always believe that someone's going to stick that head around the corner and go, "Oi, yeah, what are you doing here?"
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, particularly in studio settings, because I'm musically illiterate. I can't read music, and I can't write music, and I don't write lyrics. Nothing is physical with me. It all stays up here in the computer. And so, particularly on the first album, I couldn't vocalize. Like, I knew what I wanted stuff to sound like, but I didn't have the vernacular.
The language, yeah.
This is what I need. And so I think the more you're around people like that, you learn the lingo. Do you know what I mean? Like, you learn the artistic lingo. Now, look, I'm looking for a bit of staccato there, or a bit of, you know what I mean? You're like, that's what I'm looking for. But definitely I got like that inferiority complex, particularly when the likes of Jimmy and Jono, because I brought them in together at the same time, and they're just class players, like, but it really drove home to me how bad my timing was, because they're like metronomes, everything's steady. And so they'd, like, when I'd be veering off time, they'd be like, "Sorry, Martin, will you just play that back?"
How do you manage that, like, at the time, in terms of your own? Because, we all have some element of ego in these situations where you could go in and start beating yourself up with a stick or feeling terrible, or or get a mood on, or how do you respond to knowing that you've a long way to go, or just being different in that regard?
Yeah, well, I think there was two ways of looking at it. Was like, one was that I do start going, oh my God, I'm bleeding shit, like these are so good. And that, like, if I follow that train of thought, well, then that leads you to not doing anything anymore.
Yeah,
Do you know what? There's no fucking point. I'm bleeding muck at this. Like, there's no point at this. And then, like, having people like Martin and Luca was a great help to me back then as well. Like, saying, look, this is living, breathing, fucking. It's living. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? Metronomic click tracks. It's like, it's all over the shop, but in a fucking good way. And so that was enough to make me go, okay, and the other side of that was that I was just happy to be there with all of these bleeding class players, bleeding playing on my stuff. I was like, this, I'm just happy to be here, man.
Yeah, so you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
The line is like, how much of that is imbued with a sense of gratitude?
Oh, gratitude, man. I was like this is because what it was, Rory, was that I was like in the middle of me dream, like, you know what I mean? I was like, this is what I've always wanted to do, and now it's happening. You know what I mean? It's happening around me, and then when those little, and I still have that little voice that comes in and tries to rob me of good things and good moments, but I've just learned how to, just to get it out there and try and focus. That's my thing, like. The little grain, the little sand, the little grain of gratitude. If I can find that in any moment of doubt, then I'm nearly back on track. Then
Yeah.
So that's I haven't listened to my first album in years and years. I haven't even listened to my second album in a year.
Yeah,
but I'm really proud of it, man. I'm proud of some of the songs on that album. Like,
lovely to hear. How do you cultivate that sense of gratitude and presence and awareness on a daily basis?
I bring it back down into the day, into the here, into the now, and it's like, because if I'm projecting, what's it? Me mate says, if you've one foot in yesterday and one foot in tomorrow, then you're pissing all over the present. That's what he says, And I really like that, because it's like, if I'm back in the past, well, then I'm beating myself up over all the mistakes I made. And then if I'm worrying about like money and how's this going to happen and all that, and then, like the lads are having a soccer match, or me and Jesse are trying to buzz, I'm missing what's going on in the here and now, And so when those moments come where I'm all over the shop, I bring it back into the here, look, I'm grand, I'm in it. Beautiful gaff. I've got a beautiful wife and kids, and she's not my wife, you know what I mean? But I have a beautiful missus and kids, and I have everything I need. I don't have what I want. I don't have the things that I want or I think I want, but I have absolutely everything that I need to sustain a day. Like, that's it. It's just I've lowered the bar on expectations as well. Like, because I thought as soon as I made this first album, the whole world was going to love it. And then I quickly found out that music is really subjective and not everybody likes your stuff. And that I was going to be on tour with like everybody. And so I've learned to manage expectations and lower the bar a little bit on all of that, and bring it back down into me home. But that's what I'm really been focusing on the last few years. Like, me home, like everything is good. Like, the relationship I have with Jesse has never been stronger. The relationship with me lads playing soccer, we play soccer every single day. Like, they're running me bleeding ragged. I'm sweating every evening from playing soccer, and I love it, man. That's like, so once I have my home in order, then I'm free to dream out there then, and you know what I mean? Then I can start setting little tiny achievable goals out there in the world, and that's me rhythm, like little small achievable goals, and then consistently just try and work to hit them, like,
do you feel like these are sort of hard won realizations and lessons?
Yeah, big time. Yeah. They definitely are, like, and sometimes it takes, like, it's taken me a long time. Like, I just think Jesse's so far involved when it comes to all this stuff. Like, I'm in her smoke trails behind her, but like, so the example of that is like on the first album and stuff when like I was in contact with Damo and he was taking me on tour. And the first tour he ever done, right, this national tour. I'm like, no, this was like, oh, like Felix, they were very small. And so I'm all over the country and I've no Facebooks or none of this stuff is happening, right? I'm literally just beginning. I'm playing the first few songs I've ever written. And people are they're loving it, they're vibing off it. And so I'm going all over the country and people are like, man, Jesus Christ, that's amazing. Like, that's like, if you got YouTube and all that, and I'm like, no, nothing like that. And so I come home and I walk through the door and I'm crashing, you know what I mean? From this high I've been, you know what I mean? Like, look, I'm amazing. And Jesse says, yeah, clean out that fire and change Felix's dirty nappy. And I was like, what? What do you mean change his shitty nappy? I've just been on tour with Daniel. They just don't give me a shit. And I was like, it was like I was doing the thing that I've been doing, but I was like, what's this all about? And then I've had to flip that into, that's the stuff I look forward to now, when I'm out bleeding playing and that buzz and the adrenaline. I was like, I can't wait for me little safety of my own home where it's like, no, that's like dreamland.
Yeah.
The real world, this matters, So it's taken a lot of years for me to flip that on its head, like,
Yeah.
Because that's all, it's amazing and I love it. But it's not real, like, you know what I mean? It's not the real world. Like, this is the real world, like, that I live in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's a great observation. So it sounds like you've a real appreciation for family life and home life and staying grounded and essentially kind of keeping your feet on the ground. And do you think like part of that is kind of growing older as well, that you're just getting a bit wiser? Or is that possible? Do you feel wiser?
Yeah, it's just the older part I'm not agreeing with you. But yeah, man, I maybe it is. It's yeah, and it's probably, do you know what it probably is as well, Rory? It's probably a bit more stable. Like, music is just so unsteady at the minute. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, man, you just can't bank on it anymore, It's like, in terms of like, because what happened for me is that, or what is happening for me, is that music has crossed this little threshold now into being a way of trying to earn a living. Do you know what I mean? And it's, I don't particularly enjoy that aspect of it. Like, it's like something has shifted in it a little bit, particularly with the last album. It's like, oh, this is what I do for a living. Whereas before it was fun and I was making art because I'm curious and I'm creative and I'm creating just for the sake of creating. Do you know what I mean? And then it I don't know, it's like an invisible line got crossed and it was like, oh, this is, I'm not enjoying this as much as I used to, you know what I mean? But the home life is steady and it's stable and it remains the same, even though it's changing every day with the lads and stuff, the responsibilities of it stay the same,
Do you think that's kind of a Rubicon that a lot of artists come to, that they get good to a certain degree and get a certain amount of response and momentum, and then there's the assumption that they should or could be professional, be full-time, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the danger of the business of music. That's what these fucking billionaires expect us all to buy into. they expect us to buy into that way of life of like, oh no, I'm a pro and I'm always touring and I'm busy on Spotify and YouTube and Facebook, but the infrastructure, like the model of music, the business model of music is just broken. It's not like, it's not there. It doesn't. I can't be a full-time musician.
Okay, yeah. So it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and put food on the table. So I was actually listening to another podcast. It was Blind Boy interviewing Graham Norton around this whole thing of chasing dreams and goals and ambitions and stuff. And what Graham was saying was that, like, at a certain time, like you when you're young and you've no responsibilities, it's okay to be doing that sort of thing. You know what I mean? You're chasing dreams and you're trying to make it happen. But there comes a certain time where you get a little bit older and responsibilities of family and life kick in, and it's like, okay, I need to provide here as well. Like, it's okay to chase dreams and have a dream and attain, reach for it and stuff. But we also have to, like, I'm responsible for the lads and for Jesse and stuff. So it's just, I'm at a bit of a crossroads with music as a job at the minute. You know what I mean? And so that's why I've actually gone and got a real job. That's what people call them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And how useful has it been to have, let's say, another job rather than a real job? And how useful is that to be in a different environment in terms of perspectives and not having to be in a creative zone, or maybe it is in a creative zone?
Well, for me, it was like I was saying there, like, music had crossed this threshold into, oh, this is what I do for a living, this is how I win bread. But it's not steady enough to be doing that. Like, I'm not that well known that people will be coming to see me all over the country. You know what I mean? It's not there for me. I'm not at that place yet. So, and it's a weird paradigm as well, because it's like, music is not supposed to be about winning bread and earning a living. It's about fucking creating for the sake of creating, like, And so when it crossed over into that thing, it started kind of affecting me mentally, where I was like, I'm not enjoying this anymore. And so particularly after listening to that podcast, but then also, like, it's been niggling at me for maybe well over a year, going, I need another job. I need some financial stability. I need a routine in my life that gives me a sense of meaning and purpose, because music is all encompassing. You know what I mean? It's like what people see on your social media is like, my God, Steo's kid, like, he's so busy. He's so successful. He's fucking on telly and radio, and it's, my God, he must be like minted at this stage. That's the perception.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mirage, isn't it?
It's just smoke and mirrors. Every artist at my level is playing the game of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm so busy. I'm so successful. But we're fucking not. We're broke.
Yeah, I actually had a chat to Susan about this very same thing yesterday. About, I used to write opinion pieces and stuff for newspapers, and it'd often take me a day or thereabouts to write an article, and could spend a week trying to find a home for the article. And half the time you got paid and half the time you didn't. And then they reduced the fees from like 300 to 200 to 100. And then you'd get invited you'd get shared online. People would say it's great or it wasn't great. And you might get invited onto News Talk Radio. And I didn't know people did get paid to go on to News Talk or whatever. And I was going on it for a period of time. This is many years ago. And then someone told me that you should be invoicing them, that they do pay. And I said, oh, how much is it? €35. and it would take like an hour to get there and an hour back. And you'd be on for 5 minutes. And it was the mirage. And you have to mediate this idea of how important any of this is for you. But anyway, going back to just the business of art, like, so let's go into maybe what art is in its true essence. What is it for you? Like, why do you do it?
No one's ever asked me that. I think why I do it is because like curiosity and creation and but also like getting a little bit playful with it and having the crack with it, right? When I'm in that little mode of like I'm curious, I'm playful, I'm having a bit of fun with art. When I'm exploring all those things, right, it's like these little creative ideas and the stuff that flows through me and stuff. If I don't express that creatively for me, it's like melody and lyrics, right? Other people's, it's painting or whatever it is, like however people express themselves. But if I don't express that creativity, what happens to it then is that I turn it in on myself and it becomes a negative thing. Where it's like, you know what I mean? It's like if I'm not, and I'm always walking away at something, I'm always tinkling and searching and looking for the next little thing, like, you know? And that keeps, like, it just keeps me curious. It's all about curiosity for me. But it's I don't know why I do it. I do it, I suppose, because if it gives me a way of channeling, I don't know, some of the negative shit that goes on in my head. It helps me find or make sense of the world around me. It helps me sometimes to say things that I can't say when I'm having a conversation with people. I find I can say things much easier through art than I can when I'm having a conversation with people, you know? So I do it because I have to. Like I just, it, you know, if it doesn't come out, like I say, it just turns in on me and it becomes this negative thing that is not good for me mental health, like, you know. So don't know if I've answered that question, like, but
yeah, like ultimately it's as you said, it sounds like you do it because you have to, but it sounds therapeutic ultimately.
Yeah, I used to say music was the cheapest form of therapy, but it's not anymore. Like it's really expensive form of therapy at the minute.
Well, you know, like in its pure form, like you lift a guitar or beat a drum or sing a song, they don't actually cost anything if we strip it all back.
You see, that's kind of where I'm at as well with getting another job and trying to get some financial stability, some structure in my life. It's like if I have to go back playing songs in the bathroom to myself or in my bedroom, I'll happily do that, man. I'm like, yeah, I feel like I've been doing music for 35 years at this stage. I just feel like I'm old in the fucking game, but I'm not.
So when did it start for you? Like, what's your earliest introduction to music?
I was probably about 10 or 11, 12 maybe. And my uncle, who lives on the same estate that I grew up on, he had guitars and stuff, you know. And any time I'd be down playing with cousins, like, and he used to be in tinkling away, I'd be in sitting with him, you know. And he'd just be singing, you know, Simon and Garfunkel and, you know, Benny King and all these classics, like, you know, like Hello Darkness, my old friend. And I was like, that's epic. And so I just asked him to teach me, you know, like, can I play? And so he taught me Stand By Me. You know, those chords, I think there's 4 or 5 chords and basic chords, like, you know. And he was like, look, just learn them. Like, these are the 5, you know what I mean? Once you learn these 5 chords, you can probably play any song in the world, like, and they'll translate to every other song, you know what I mean? On a basic level. And that's where kind of the interest for it began. And before that, I was like, oh, I'm all right at painting and stuff as well. Like, I just love art. I've always loved art because I was a little messing fucker in school. Like, you know, I didn't learn in a structured way. Like, you know, I learned by doing things and, you know, expressing expressive stuff. And so I always loved art in any form, like. And then when the music came along, then I loved that. And then all my mates were, you know, playing Oasis and fucking drinking cans and so yeah, and then all life gets in the way, and so I put down the guitar for a good long while and started acting the maggot and getting in trouble, and then when I moved down to County Clare in 2011, I picked it back up after a long time, like, you know.
How much of a gap?
Yeah, a lot of years. Like I'd always I'd always pick a guitar up and bang on it. If I was in the presence of a guitar, or there was a sing song happening, or someone was playing a guitar, I'd strum it, you know, and I'd sing a song like "Stand By Me" or whatever, Oasis tune or whatever. But in terms of being obsessed and playing guitar every single day, it had been years and years, like, you know, a decade maybe. And then when we moved down here and Jesse was on the road with shows and stuff the whole time, and I'd be in the house for, you know what I mean, days on end. And so I just picked it back up and I started to become obsessed with it again. But I started writing as well, like, you know. And so, yeah, that's I was writing all these songs. And like I said, singing them in the bathroom and in the sitting room, and then eventually I just started singing them in front of people at open mic nights and stuff around the way. And yeah.
When you listen to the lyrics, like possibly more so in the first album, but you know, there's a sense of struggles and hardships and dark times, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, how connected is all that to the music? Does that time feel like, you know, a different life, or?
Yeah, I was only saying that to someone literally yesterday or the day before, like, when I think back on my life back then, like, you know, and the stuff I done, and look, everyone knows me fucking thing at this stage. It's like it's drugs and jails and all that kind of shit. The struggles and stuff. It seems like when I look back at it that I'm watching a movie. You know what I mean? I'm watching the movie of me life back then. I'm like, oh, it was a fucking head case. Like, I would just. It feels like, yeah, it feels like a movie. It feels like someone else, you know. But also, it's an important part of not forgetting as well. Not forgetting all that stuff. Not forgetting all the hurt that caused and that you know that was done. Like, and it's also like 8 or 9 times out of 10, that's the fucking well I go back to when I'm looking to create something. You know what I mean? It's that the well of hurt. Yeah, the well of hurt. That's the well I draw from when I make an art, like, you know, because that's like when I hear a piece of art or I see a piece of art or something is expressed through that, you know what I mean? I think for me anyway, the stuff that stores me and makes me want to create something is the stuff that comes from hurt and pain and struggle. You know what I mean? That seems to be the stuff that I relate to more so than the, you know, poppy, like, lovey-dovey stuff, you know?
Yeah, although you do have a beautiful tribute to Jacinta or Jesse. We should clarify that Jacinta and Jesse are the same person, just in case people think you have two partners on the go.
Yeah.
But you do be beautiful. You're not immune to a love song.
No, man, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, that was my attempt at a pop song. Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. That's like, yeah, but then, like, even within that, like I can't go full on love song without taking the mick. There has to be a little bit of banter or joke in there, you know. So, but I think I'm getting better at it. I think I'm getting better at harnessing my emotions and channeling it into the art, like, you know.
How much of that do you think is to do with being a guy, a fella, and often lads not having emotional vocabulary or literacy?
Yeah, it definitely was back then. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why in that Jesse song, there's jokes in it. There's little jokes and play on words that I'm like, like it's a love song, but I'm only having the crack. And then, like I said, like in every other, like, it's taken me a long time to get to, like, actually where the good stuff comes from is the fucking female side of me, or the you know, when you drop
the feminine.
Yeah, when you drop the barrier of, like, you know what I mean, like, fucking one of the lads and it used to be a man fucker, all that bullshit, all that facade, when all that falls away, you know, particularly these days, it's like, that's what I'm talking about. When I tap back into that fucking well, and you know, all the good stuff comes from that side of me, I think. You know, where there's no pretense. It's like, I'm just saying things because this is what I'm feeling, and it's like, if whether you relate to it or it resonates with you or not, it's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But it's this is my truth, like.
Yeah.
What was that about?
That was bizarre. So for anybody, we might as well. That was just. So for people listening in the audio version, won't see the video of that. As Steo finished saying, that was my truth. It was fireworks went off. It's all fireworks. The most bizarre thing. I've done hundreds of Zooms, meetings every day. I've never seen anything like that.
I swear to God, I didn't touch anything. Like, that was like, this is my truth. Hey, kaboom.
I think God has got involved in the Zoom here and done a firework moment. That's just surreal. So if only we were on TikTok to make that viral, that would be something else. That's anyway. We'll come back to that. I lost my thread there. The fireworks edge.
Yes, big time. Me too.
Okay, let's bring the car back onto the road here. Yeah, I suppose I was wondering, Steo, about the old world and the new world and the bridge between them. How clear, how strong a bridge was it? Like, how, you know, was there a chance or a time that you nearly didn't make it, as in crossing over? If the bridge analogy is working in that regard.
Yeah. I suppose, yeah. No, there was many times when I didn't make it or nearly didn't make it. I knew something had to change, you know what I mean? Because I was either going to die or like spend me bleeding life behind bars, and I just didn't want that, you know what I mean? There was always like,
just in relation to like the bridge between the old world, the old Steo, a lot of those darker times, and the new world, the new. I have this sense of like a bridge that you've walked on, like even a very fine bridge, like, and even like maybe a shaky bridge. Like, was there any point that you didn't even see a bridge, or that you almost didn't make it over the bridge?
Yeah, I like, for sure. I think there was so many opportunities to not cross the bridge and not make it, but it was always kind of. I always wanted to change, man. You know, like how I was living was not kind of sustainable. Like, because I was either gonna fucking die. I'm real aware that I've cursed a lot of times on this podcast, and I'm really sorry. to anyone listening, but I was either going to die or spend my life locked up somewhere, you know? And so I was crying out for a change, and I didn't really know how to get there. But then art and creativity came, you know what I mean? It's like a bad episode of The X Factor, you know, where they walk out and they're like, oh my God, like my goldfish died and I've been living on the streets, but I can sing, hey, and music and art is going to save my life. That's actually what happened to me, like, you know, picking back up, because that's where I picked back up the guitar as well. And I started creating there as well, like, you know, then put it down again. And do you know what I mean? But I knew that I knew that, do you know what it was? I had this moment of like all that bad shit, you know what I mean? All the negative stuff that I've done and been through in my life, that somehow I was going to be able to flip it on its head and turn it into a positive, flipping a negative to a positive, and writing the story of my life. Like,
you kind of had that inner compass driving you.
Yeah. Like, well, what happened is that, like, I saw my life like a metaphor, right? It was like, I think when kids are born, like, so the two lads, I look at the boys, particularly as kids, and they're just born in flames of like curiosity, creativity and wonder, right? And they're just exploring the world through touch and senses and feeling and words, and they're exploring its curious, playful creativity and wonder, like, right? And then life kicks in and your little flame dulls down, and fucking skills and systems and everything, whatever, drugs, whatever your story is. Not all people's stories are like this, but this is how I saw my life, and the flame is getting smaller and smaller. So at a time when I saw the flame, it was like, what I saw it as was like, you know, when you try and light a match in the wind and you're trying to guard it from the wind, and it's fucking like it's stormy out there and it's trying to blow your flame out. That's what it was like. That's where it was. Like, I was down to a little match. And so I was like, I knew that I had to make a change, and that I had that like moment of like, do you know what? I'm going to use all this shit. I'm going to fucking use all that stuff that I've been through, and I'm going to flip it on its head, and I'm going to polish it into solid gold. Not sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to try and use it to good if I can. And I think that's what the art was about. It was about saying, because like, if I was a rapper in South Central Los Angeles, man, I'd be sitting on millions of dollars going, I'm fucking doing this and I'm a man, because that's what they do when they make that type of art. But I've never made that type of art. I think the way I make it is like, look, you know, this is the shit I've done and this is what I've been through. And if it helps you to get through, that's great. You know what I mean? It comes from a place of empathy, I think. Or, you know what I mean? It comes from that other place of like, look, it's raw, but it's real. It's always real. You know?
Yeah. And I have a strong sense. I mean, some aspects of hip hop has that as well, but the sense of like, it has it's folk music in a way, and then there obviously is a kind of a rap hip hop influence floating around as well, but like, how much then is how conscious were you and are you of any traveller heritage in all of that, and how you relate to it?
Yeah, like that, like that's a big part of belonging as well, like, you know,
because you have the song My People, and like you basically are exploring that you come from, you have traveller heritage.
Yeah it's like that. I think that, like, I think getting involved in the art and the music and moving to County Clare and trying to stake a little claim and find your tribe and where you belong and all of that stuff. So my people was a natural progression of that. Of like I live here now. This is where I'm making me home and where I'm settling. But I also come from that place, and it's like it's not forgetting the tree that you fell from and the people that you come from, and also, like, although it's been chaotic and problematic and it's caused me a lot of damage, but you know, there's a bit of pride to be had in there somehow as well, like in so far as like I've made it out from underneath that, you know. And so the traveller aspect and the heritage and the cultural aspect of all that, I'm very proud of it, man. I'm very, like, that's also another, that's the well too. That's all part of the well, like, you know, that I draw from, and I think that's what my art 9 times out of 10 is about, is like belonging and ancestral lines and like where we've come from and, you know, where we're going, where we going, like all of that. It's like that's my buzz, I think.
Yeah.
There's always, even through all the hurtful stuff and the hard stuff that I write, there's always that little family thread running through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. So there's a personal narrative, and then there's clearly like a cultural, social narrative, and then you have we connected last year. We've connected a few times on different things, but one of the things we connected with was around the Voice to Parliament referendum. I was in Australia last year, and it was around Indigenous rights and Indigenous voice in Australian politics. And you had that kind of connection with Indigenous folk in Australia and globally, and then also you have that kind of political lens around refugees, asylum seekers, migrants, and so there's essentially a political bent in a lot of what you're doing, and you haven't shied away from that desire to express and demand and respond.
Yeah. Well, I feel a strong, like, there's a real strong pull in me to those First Peoples, those tribes over, and to just tribal people. Like, I don't know, man. I can't explain it. It's like, I think there's a collective wisdom that flows through all of those peoples. You know what I mean? Like, they're the oldest tribal people on the planet, and they hold the secrets of the land and the you know, the earth in all, and it's the same. Like, I identify with that, and I identify with the refugee crisis and all the struggles, because it's the same struggle. Like, it's the same struggle that the travelling people have been going through in this country for hundreds of years. Like, it's all the same struggle. But again, it comes back to that thing of, like, just trying to belong. Like, it's like, I don't know, man. I that brings me down when I get too far into that as well, of like race and colour and creed and fucking them and us, and they're taking that and this is theirs, and you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like there's a collective wisdom, but there's also a collective stupidity that goes on as well.
Yeah, because like, if you follow that thread, nobody would be allowed out of their house, because they wouldn't belong in the next street, and they wouldn't ever. No Irish person would have left Ireland, and no Dubliner would have left Dublin, because they wouldn't be allowed.
No, but, like, yeah, there's only like there's only one big fucking race on this big ball that we're on, like, you know what I mean? And the colour of your skin is just what side of the equator or how far or fucking near it you were born. It's as simple as that, like. Do you know what I mean? It's like there is the human race. Just one, you know?
Yeah. And And so then in terms of tribes, like, I suppose, like, there is a natural sense that, you know, we do attach somewhat to identity of where we're from, county, parish, all that, which are all constructs that somebody else invented anyway. But, like, you know, you are a Dubliner, there's a sense of that, but it's not to overly attach with it. But then you're also now, you're in Clare, what, 10 years?
Yeah, it's coming up in 12 years now.
Okay, so how important has Clare been to you, and what influence specifically has Clare and the arts in Clare had on you and for you?
Huge. I don't think I'd be making art if I hadn't moved to Clare. I don't think that the clutter in my mind would have been able to clear out, to make way for anything new to come along. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I love Dublin. Like, I love it. It's where I'm from. It's, you know what I mean? But that's the very first interview I ever done, actually. It was a news talk one with Tom Dunn. And that's one of the first things I ever said on radio was, Dublin City may have raised me, but it was the Bannock County that made me, like, you know. And that still rings true. Like, it's like moving down here, and you know, the quietness and the openness and the space, you know what I mean? Like the pure quiet, deafening quiet of the Borough, and then the mad roaring energy of the Atlantic Ocean. Those, and I'm in the middle of it. You know what I mean? I'm 15 minutes away from either side of it, and it's that, like that, but also that sense of belonging. Like, when I came here for the first time 12 years ago, like, I felt spiritually connected to this place, Rory, right? And then within our family, like the Traveller, you know, like the Doran connection in our family, like those Doran Pipers, we've always celebrated that, you know what I mean? That's a big part of our story, our Traveller people's story, right? My grandmother, and, you know what I mean? The pride of that, like. And then years later, like, coming down here and then finding out years later that this is where Johnny Doran was going to settle, right here, where I'm living, like, and that the two of them, like, East and West Clare, they were connected to this place, and their influence and their cultural impact on music, and trad music particularly, is fucking huge down here. And then finding that out years later, like, reading a book and going, that's what it was like, that's what the buzz was like. I was connected to this place before I even knew it. And then like, finding that out, but also being involved in the music while I'm finding it out and going, this is mad. And then like, the full circle of that came the other night. It was like, I'm doing this documentary with TG Carr, right? And it's exploring that. It's the old school Travellers, Johnny Doran, Felix Doran, the new school, Steo Wall, doing this thing and exploring his place and his pride in his culture and all that. And I was playing over in a place called Ballinacally, where there's a stone of Johnny Doran to commemorate. This old man, it was influential in Ballinacally, fought for the right of this stone. The council were trying to move it, and he came out fighting. I'm going, what are you doing? And the lad said, we're moving the fucking stone, we're widening, we're making a better road for you. Like, we're the county council, we're paving the road, we're going to make better roads. He said, you can't move that stone. And the council were like, why? It's just a stone. He said, no, that's the stone where the famous piper Johnny Doran used to entertain the people of Clare. You can't move that stone. And so he stood there, and he entered into like a 7-year battle with the Clare County Council to save this stone. It's just a stone.
Wow.
And he won, and then he commemorated it, and he put a poem to Johnny Doran on it. And then I was over there the other night, and a couple of weeks back, the lads were filming it, and I was like, the song My People was written before I discovered the Stone of Johnny Doran.
Wow.
And the lyric in the song is, my people, don't let them bring you down, because your rich history is painted on every stone in every town.
Oh my God.
My people, don't let them keep bringing you down, because your rich history is written, because your rich history is paved on every road in every town. Isn't that mad? Like, and I literally, that came to my mind as I was singing that song in that place the other night, and I was like I only made the connection as I was singing the lyric. I was like, oh, my people, don't let them bring you down. And then I said it, and I was like, I made the connection, like, you know. So, yeah, like, and all of that stuff, that's what I'm talking about, man. It's the unconscious wisdom, you know, that I'm trying to bleed and grab, or that I'm curious about. But I thought that was like, that was a real connection moment of like, all right, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm home. This is me home. And so the move to Clare has been, although like it was the hardest decision I've ever, because I'm a homeboard, and by the nature of being like having that Pavy blood running through you, we're tribal, like we're insular, and to break away from it is tough, like. But look, it's like I said, I needed a change, man. I just shudder to think where I'd be had I not made that change. And then meeting a woman who fucking straightens you out as well and doesn't take your and won't put up with it, and is straight as a die. And it's like, look, this is how I'm living. You either want to live like this or you don't. Go back there. You know what I mean? All of that.
Who's also an artist as well, as in, artist, you know, that like inbuilt understanding.
Well, who's also the first person to go, you're an artist, and I believe that you're an artist, and I believe in you as an artist. I never had, like, I'm the first one of my tribe to be an artist, you know? And so all of it, like all of those, then the people I met along the way that from here, you know, it's like, if I look back on that as well, I'm like, oh my God, it's like, it's, you know, it's full of coincidences, but I don't really believe in coincidences either. You know what I mean? It's like you said, like the bridge was there, man, and all I needed to do was walk across it, you know. But it was shaky, you know what I mean? Like you said, and it was scary. But it's the greatest move I ever made, man. You know what I mean? When I look back at it, it's, you know, it's the most important thing that I've ever done for myself, like, you know.
It feels like so many more layers and levels and hours we could go for, but I think we leave it there on this one. And it's been lovely chatting to you and hearing more of your perspectives and insights and updates and adventures and thoughts. And congrats on it all, and here's to lots more of it.
Nice one, Rory. Thanks, man.
Keep paving it around on every road and every stone, and yeah. Good man. Thanks, Steo.
See you, bud.